I wasn't ready for the moment she stopped walking, turned to me under the river lights, and changed everything with one sentence. My name's Noah. I'm 27, living in a small apartment just outside downtown Denver. I work as a UI designer for a tech startup. Nothing flashy. 8 people, long hours, tight deadlines, and apps that sometimes work the way they should. It pays the bills, keeps beer in my fridge, and gives me a routine that feels safe. Maybe too safe. 3 years ago, my last relationship ended. 3 years with someone I thought I'd build a future with. Then she moved to Seattle for a job, and I stayed behind with an empty apartment and plans that didn't fit anymore. After that, I told myself I was done with dating. Done with apps. Done with starting over. But one boring Thursday night, I was scrolling anyway, not looking for anything real, just killing time. That's when I saw Ella. Her profile didn't scream for attention. No filters, no perfect poses. Just 3 photos. One of her sitting in a coffee shop, sunlight catching her dark hair. One walking a scruffy golden retriever on a trail. One blurry picture of her laughing. Her bio was short. I teach elementary school. Love real smiles and strong coffee. I swiped right without thinking much about it. I didn't expect a match. But she swiped back. We messaged for a few days. Easy conversations. She joked about kids in her class doing chaotic things. I complained about clients who wanted terrible design choices. It felt natural, like talking to someone I already knew. When she suggested pizza, I said yes without hesitation. We met at a small place called Tony's in an old Denver neighborhood. Brick walls, checkered tablecloths, string lights glowing outside. I got there early and sat under the lights, pretending to read the menu while checking my phone too often. I was nervous. I hadn't been on a real date in over a year. She showed up a few minutes late, cheeks pink from the cold, dark hair tucked under a knit beanie. When she smiled and said my name, something in my chest loosened. I stood up too fast and knocked over my water glass. It soaked the tablecloth. Great start. She laughed, soft and warm, like it didn't matter at all. She told me to relax. It was just pizza. She wore a dark green sweater and jeans. Nothing fancy, but she looked comfortable in herself, and that made it hard not to stare. We ordered 1 pizza to share and a couple of beers. The conversation started slow, then picked up speed. She talked about teaching second graders and how glitter never really goes away. I told her about work disasters and blamed a broken teapot on my ex's cat. She laughed louder that time, and I caught myself trying to make her laugh again. The pizza disappeared faster than I expected. We argued over the last slice. I gave it to her. She split it anyway. When the bill came, our hands brushed, and she said next time she was paying. The words, next time, stayed with me. We didn't want the night to end, so we walked toward the South Platte River. The city lights reflected on the water. The air was cold enough to make you pull your jacket tighter. It felt quiet in a good way. We walked side by side without rushing. I noticed her slow down, then stop. She turned to face me, gripping the strap of her bag like she was steadying herself. "Noah," she said, "there's something I need to tell you before we go any further." My stomach tightened. I nodded and tried to stay calm. She took a breath and looked straight at me. "I have a son. He's 5. His name is Finn." The words hit me all at once. Not bad, not good, just unexpected. She didn't look away. She didn't apologize. She just waited. My mind raced, trying to catch up. A child. 5 years old. A whole life I hadn't pictured when I agreed to pizza. I stood there with my hands in my pockets, the sound of the river behind us filling the silence. "You okay with that?" she asked. Her voice was steady but softer now, like she was ready for me to leave. I let out a slow breath. "I'm not scared," I said honestly, "just surprised." I didn't see that coming. She smiled, small but real. Surprised is better than running. We started walking again. She told me I didn't have to decide anything tonight. She just wanted me to know. The rest of the walk was quieter, but not uncomfortable. When we reached her car, she thanked me for the night and drove away. I stood under the streetlight, watching her taillights disappear, her words looping in my head. I have a son. He's 5. It wasn't just information. It was a door to a life I hadn't planned for, and I had no idea yet whether I was brave enough to walk through it. I didn't text Ella that night. Not because I was playing games or trying to seem distant. I just didn't know what to say. Her words by the river kept replaying in my head. I have a son. He's 5. His name's Finn. It wasn't fear that kept me quiet. It was the weight of it. A kid wasn't just a detail. It was a whole life that came first. Always. The next day at work, I stared at my screen more than I worked. Buttons blurred together. Colors didn't look right. My coworker Sam noticed before noon. He leaned over my desk with his burrito and asked if I was okay. I told him I was tired. It was a lie. I wasn't tired. I was thinking about a little boy I hadn't met and a woman whose smile wouldn't leave my head. 2 days passed. Then 3. Neither of us texted. I told myself it was fine, that this was probably how it ended. A good date, an honest truth, and 2 people quietly walking away. But every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. On the 4th day, I couldn't take it anymore. I opened our messages and typed something long, then deleted it. I tried again, shorter this time, then erased that too. Everything sounded like an excuse. Finally, I sent something simple. I said I'd been thinking a lot. I said I liked her. I said I wasn't running. She replied, 10 minutes later. No anger, no pressure, just warmth. She said she appreciated the honesty. She asked if I wanted to grab coffee. We met at a small place near the elementary school where she taught. Exposed brick, mismatched chairs, the smell of cinnamon in the air. I got there early again. Some habits die hard. When she walked in, wearing a blazer over a white shirt, hair pulled back but messy, I felt that same calm settle in my chest. We ordered coffee and talked like we always did. Easy, familiar. But there was something new between us, something unspoken. After a few minutes, I brought it up. I asked about Finn. Her face changed when she talked about him, not softer, stronger. She told me he loved dinosaurs and hated odd numbers, that sandwiches had to be cut a certain way or he'd lose it. She watched my face while she talked, waiting for something to shift. I told her the truth, that it was a lot, that I didn't know what dating someone with a kid looked like, but that I wasn't disappearing. I just needed time to understand it. She listened, really listened. Then she told me she didn't need perfection. She just needed honesty. She told me she wouldn't introduce Finn to someone who wasn't serious. She said he'd already had someone leave once. That part stuck with me. After that coffee, we didn't rush anything. We texted, we called, we saw each other once or twice a week. Sometimes dinner. Sometimes just sitting on her couch while she graded papers. I didn't meet Finn yet. She was clear about that, and I respected it. Her house felt different from my apartment. Lived in. Crayon marks on the coffee table. Picture books on shelves. Plastic dinosaurs scattered across the living room. It wasn't messy. It was real. I started bringing groceries over, cooking while she leaned against the counter, sipping wine and telling stories about her students. One night she told me about Finn's dad. He left when Finn was 2, said he wasn't ready, didn't fight to stay. She didn't cry when she said it. But her eyes told me enough. I didn't try to fix it. I just stayed. Weeks passed. I started keeping a toothbrush at her place. She left a sweater in my car. Finn started showing up in our conversations more. Drawings she sent me. Voice messages of him explaining dinosaur facts in serious detail. I listened to everyone. Then one night, while we were sitting quietly after dinner, she asked me a question that caught me off guard. If Finn asked who you are, what would you say? I didn't rush my answer. I told her I'd say I was her friend, and that I wasn't going anywhere. She leaned her head on my shoulder and didn't say anything, but the silence felt like trust. A few days later, she called me after Finn was asleep. She told me he'd asked about me, asked who made her laugh. She said maybe he'd meet me soon. My heart flipped. When she finally asked if I wanted to meet him, I said yes before she finished the sentence. We planned to meet at City Park on a Saturday afternoon. Neutral ground, open space, no pressure. That morning, I woke up nervous in a way I hadn't felt in years. I Googled dinosaur facts. I checked my outfit 3 times. I drove to the park early and sat in my car, breathing. When I saw them, Ella standing near a picnic table, and Finn kicking leaves by the lake, something shifted in me. This wasn't just about dating anymore. Ella waved me over. Finn looked at me like he was studying me, like he was deciding something important. I crouched down and said hi, complimented his dinosaur hoodie, told him I'd heard he was the expert. He didn't smile, but he didn't walk away either. That felt like a win. We walked to the swings. Ella pushed him while I watched. He laughed. She laughed. I stood there feeling like I was on the edge of something big. Later, Finn ran up to me and asked a question in a quiet voice. He asked if I was going to go away. I didn't look at Ella when I answered. I looked at him. I told him no. Not if they wanted me around. He nodded like he accepted that, at least for now. As the sun dipped lower, we walked back to the cars. Ella reached for my hand. Just for a second. But it said everything. I wasn't just falling for her anymore. I was choosing them. After that day at the park, nothing suddenly became perfect. There was no big moment where everything clicked into place. Instead, things settled into something quiet and steady, like we were building trust one day at a time. I didn't move in. I didn't start playing dead. I just showed up. I started coming by Ella's place a few nights a week, sometimes with takeout, sometimes with groceries, sometimes with nothing at all. Finn would be on the floor with his dinosaurs, glancing up at me like he was still deciding what to do with me. Some days, he talked my ear off. Other days, he barely said a word. I let him lead. Ella watched all of it from a distance. She smiled, but there was always a layer of caution in her eyes, like she was waiting for the moment I might change my mind. One evening, I helped Finn with a puzzle on the living room floor. A pterodactyl with way too many pieces. Ella was in the kitchen making spaghetti. The smell of garlic and tomatoes filled the house. Finn kept correcting me, telling me pterodactyls weren't actually dinosaurs. I pretended to be shocked. He rolled his eyes and laughed. Dinner was loud and messy. Finn covered his plate in Parmesan like it was snow. Ella teased him. He teased her back. At one point, I laughed so hard I almost choked on my water. Ella reached under the table and squeezed my hand. It was quick, but it felt like a quiet promise. After Finn went to bed, the house got still. We cleaned up together, standing shoulder to shoulder at the sink. The only sound was the clink of dishes and the low hum of the dishwasher. "You're good at this," I said. "The mom thing. The everything thing." She laughed and shook her head. "I'm just guessing half the time. You're the one who keeps showing up." Her words stayed with me. A few weeks later, Finn fell asleep on the couch during a dinosaur documentary. His head rested against my shoulder. I didn't move. Ella took a picture from across the room, her eyes shiny when she showed it to me later. She told me trust wasn't a small thing for him. I started seeing how much weight Ella carried, how carefully she protected her son, how strong she had to be every day. It made me want to be better, not louder or bigger, just more present. One night, after Finn was asleep, Ella told me more about his dad, how he left without a fight, how Finn used to wait by the window when he was little, expecting him to come back. She spoke calmly, but I could hear the hurt underneath. I didn't promise anything big. I just told her I wasn't that guy. I wasn't going to disappear. Months passed. I kept a toothbrush at her place. She kept a sweater in my car. Finn started calling me Noasaurus, which Ella said meant I'd been promoted. One evening, while we were in the kitchen making dinner, Ella set her knife down and turned to me. Her face was serious. "Are you sure about this? About us?" I knew what she meant. Not just dating, not just feelings, everything that came with her life. I took her hands and told her the truth, that I was scared sometimes, that I didn't have all the answers, but that I was sure I wanted to be there. For her. For Finn. For whatever came next. She didn't smile right away. She just nodded, like she was finally letting herself believe me. That night, she rested her head on my chest while we stood in the quiet kitchen. No big words. No grand plans. Just the sound of Finn breathing upstairs and the soft glow of the light over us. I realized then that love wasn't the rush of a first date or the shock of a surprise confession. It was this, staying, choosing the same people every day, And I wasn't done choosing yet. Life didn't change all at once after that conversation in the kitchen. It shifted slowly, in small ways that mattered more than big gestures ever could. Finn started expecting me to be around. Not every day, not all the time, but enough that my absence would have been noticed. He'd ask Ella if I was coming over when she made dinner. He'd save dinosaur facts for me like they were important news. Sometimes he'd crawl onto the couch next to me and lean against my arm without saying a word. Those moments meant more than I knew how to say. Ella noticed too. The way I didn't rush things. The way I listened. The way I didn't flinch when plans changed because Finn had a bad day or a school project went wrong. She stopped watching me so closely, stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop. One night, Finn had a nightmare. I was there, sitting on the couch while Ella went upstairs to calm him. I heard his voice crack through the hallway, scared and small. When she brought him back down, wrapped in a blanket, he climbed into my lap without asking. I froze for a second, then wrapped my arms around him. He fell asleep like that, his breathing slow and even. Ella watched us from across the room, her hand over her mouth, tears in her eyes. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. After that, things felt different, not heavier, just deeper. Months passed. Seasons changed. Denver winter came and went. Snow piled up on her porch and melted into the yard where Finn's dinosaurs stayed half buried. We built a rhythm that worked. I never tried to replace anyone. I never tried to rush ahead. I just stayed present. One evening, after Finn was asleep, Ella and I sat on the porch with mugs of tea wrapped in blankets. The street was quiet. She leaned into me and asked if I ever missed the life I had before. I thought about it for a moment. The quiet apartment. The freedom. The way nothing depended on me. Then I looked through the window at the house behind us. The toys. The drawings on the fridge. The woman beside me. No, I said. I don't miss it. I like this life better. She nodded slowly, like she was letting that answer settle into her bones. A few weeks later, Finn had a school event. A simple thing. Parents, kids, folding chairs in a gym that smelled like glue and crayons. Ella assumed I wouldn't want to go. I told her I did. When Finn saw me there, his face lit up. He ran over and grabbed my hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. I felt Ella watching us, her eyes full, her smile unguarded. That night, after Finn was asleep, Ella stood in the doorway of the kitchen and watched me wash dishes. She asked me if I knew what I meant to them. I told her I was still figuring that out. She walked over, took the towel from my hands, and hugged me. Tight, like she was afraid to let go. I love you, she said quietly. The words hit me hard, not because I wasn't expecting them, but because I knew they came with trust, with fear, with hope. I didn't rush my answer. I held her closer and told her I loved her too. We didn't celebrate. We didn't make a big deal out of it. We just stood there, together, letting it be enough. Later that night, as I lay in bed beside her, listening to the house settle, I thought back to that first date. The pizza. The river. The moment she told me about her son. I'd been surprised then. Unsure. Standing at the edge of something I didn't understand. Now, I did. Love wasn't about perfect timing or easy choices. It was about staying when things got complicated. About showing up again and again. About choosing not to run. She had a son. He was 5. And I wasn't expecting that on a first date. But it turned out to be the best part of my life.